Hello, this is Kaiserredux, a Hearts of Iron 4 mod that acts as an unofficial standalone expansion for the Kaiserreich mod. Kaiserreich itself is set in a world where the Central Powers won World War I. With that out of the way, this video is going to be the start of a Kingdom of Sikkim playthrough series. Here is the brief history of the Kingdom of Sikkim. An absolute monarchy since 1642, the Kingdom of Sikkim stands at the crossroads of empires. Once part of the now defunct Raj, Sikkim has survived Nepali, Bhutanese, and Indian ambitions thanks to its allies to the north and Tibet. However, with the Qing beginning to disintegrate, Tibet's military will be preoccupied elsewhere, leaving Sikkim vulnerable as the reform-minded king of the country seeks to begin a massive liberalization and modernization initiative in order to raise his people out of feudalist serfdom. However, with the nobles holding him back, and with radicals threatening revolution if he does not go far enough, Tashi is caught in the middle of competing forces as he tries to guide his country. We have begun, and let's go to our national overview. We have 5 national spirits, and they are the chaotic melting pot of the Himalayas, an archaic and feudalistic reality, dominance of the nobility, the 11th Chogyal, the Maharaja of Sikkim, and archaic armed forces. The ruling ideology is authoritarian democracy of oligarchism variety, that is the sub-ideology, oligarchism, and the leader of this country is Tashi Namgyel, who historically was the king of Sikkim from late 1924 to late 1963. He favored closer links between Sikkim, India, and Tibet. And on top of this, during his reign, he was known for land reform and free elections. So he is, for his time, pretty liberal-minded, and, well, relatively speaking. And let's go to our focus tree now. Go to this. And we can't do anything just yet. I believe we have to wait. I think the first focus we will have to do is a new year dawns on Paradise. So moving on from that, we have one division. It is the Royal Guard. How many commanders do we have? We have one commander. Okay, just put him on the border with, say, Nepal. I guess that works. Research slots available. We only have 2. Do basic machine tools and construction 1. We'll eventually do electronic mechanical engineering, but that has to wait because we only have so many research slots. We have 1 civilian factory also. And we can't build anything right now. Let's maybe build land forts. I don't know. That's the only thing we can build. One of the few things we can build anyway. We have hardly any manpower. 1 manpower in Sikkim, which is not ideal for fighting countries with. And let's unpause. And that is done now. A new year dawns on Paradise. We have a big event to read here. Literally called Paradise. Nam Nyam by the Lepcha, the dominant ethnic group of the nation Sikkim, is a beautiful and storied mountain refuge safe from the wider world, or at least it was once isolated. Now Sikkim has been held hostage in a diplomatic game of tug-of-war, for Sikkim sits at the crossroads of empires on this sliver of the mighty Himalayas. Sikkim has been a monarchy since 1642, dominated by the Namgyel dynasty for over 300 years, despite the rise of numerous other empires, including the colonial behemoth of the British. A Buddhist family tied to the Lamas ruling over a multi-ethnic and multi-religious state is no easy task, but the Namgyels have managed to keep the Kingdom of Sikkim together for centuries. However, this legacy is now being tested more than ever. When the Raj fell in the wake of the British Revolution, Sikkim was one of hundreds of states to break free from the dying carcass of British imperialism. But Sikkim now stands nearly alone as a post-Raj state, free from the main Indian factions. This independence was not widely wanted outside our borders, however, for Nepal, Bhutan, and what has now become the Bhattaraya commune have all tried to absorb our mountain kingdom. Their efforts have all been kept at bay due to our nation's close ties with and guarantees of national sovereignty by Tibet. For the lamas of Tibetan Buddhism and the royal family, as well as much of the nobility, have been closely linked for as long as the kingdom has existed. A nominal subject of the Qing, Tibet has been able to defend Sikkim's independence, but with the wavering Manchu dynasty close to collapse, Tibet is no longer in any position to be able to waste troops guarding foreign borders. And now, as the Qing inch closer to collapse, the wolves that circle our kingdom only grow more bold, and soon our independence will surely be tested unless we do something first. It is up to the 11th Chogyal, or king, and Maharaja of Sikkim, His Highness Tashi Namgyel, to guide the nation through the fires of foreign diplomacy while dealing with the rising tides of radicalism and greater calls for reforms. Seeking to liberalize and modernize the nation, despite pushback from powerful aristocratic families and groups like the Kazi, Chogyal Tashi must strike a balance and mend the schisms that divide Sikkim, lest this paradise come to a burning, and under the boots of foreign powers. And we now complete the focus. A new year dawns on paradise. Now, in the focus tree, let's do the role of the lamas. And this says here, Sikkim is a land of faith and spirituality with a ruling class along the sides of... Okay, President Kaiserredux has been assassinated, and we're just going to get an event out of this. And that will take, say, 40... Okay, whatever, I'll just read all this. Sikkim is a land of faith and spirituality with a ruling class along with a sizable portion of the population being Buddhist, living in relative peace with a large Hindu population, along with other smaller faithful minorities such as the Sikhs and the Jainists. However, no clerical group within Sikkim is more influential than the Buddhist lamas, for even our beloved Chogyals are crowned by each incarnation of the Dalai Lama. Though dominant, their role in the government is often a large and messy gray area, and as such we must move to formalize the role these holy men have in our kingdom. And some events in the world are going on. Edward VIII is crowned king, basic stuff that happens at the start of every Kaiserredux, Kaiserreich playthrough, / Kaiserreich playthrough. And Sikkim, I will say, we have, I don't know. In real life, Sikkim was eventually annexed by India after a referendum. Afghanistan declared war on the Dominion of Delhi. That is happening. The Fourth Anglo-Afghan War is taking place. But what I'm trying to say is, we're just a small country surrounded by much bigger neighbors, and the Australians are elected in France. That's happened. And besides that, I will say, the Kingdom of Sikkim has a pretty nice focus tree for such, I don't know how to say it. I don't want to say obscure country, it's just that not many people know about Sikkim, and not many people know that it was once its own independent country in history. The lamas of Sikkim are the highest level of the Buddhist clergy, second only to Chogyal in influence, though the nobility frequently rivals this power, spiritually guiding the nation from beautiful and ancient monasteries such as Rumtek, Dubdi, and Raleng. These disciples of the Buddha are Sikkim's enduring link to their past and their cylindrical future. Loyal to the crown and to the Namgyal dynasty as well as the Dalai Lama in Tibet, these clergymen usually put matters of the faith above all and are frequently mediators and arbiters of conflict within the nation, safeguarding tradition while seeking to bring unity to the varied population. Under their guidance, Sikkim remains tied to its beliefs and its past, and together they help form the fabric of Sikkim's varied society. And from that event, we get a little bit of political power. Now let's do the focus reassurances to the nobility. And just to pass the time, I'm just going to read this. There's a war in China. Modify Officer Corps. Let's go to the Army Military High Command focus Icelandic independence. That's a thing. Get Army logistics, I guess. We won't lose as much. We won't be as affected as badly by attrition by doing that. But anyway, reassurances to nobility. The land-owning aristocratic families, such as the dominant and influential Kazi Samandars, hold great power and influence in Sikkim. They command great fortunes and sway due to their positions of power and nobility, and are only second to the Lamas and the Chogyal in terms of power over the nation. We must remain on their good sides if Tashi is to achieve anything during his reign. But that is easier said than done when his reforms fly directly in their faces. Amends and compromises are what must be made to assure the stability of the kingdom, no matter how much this may anger the rising radical tide. And then Qing declared war on Shan Qing Tuigwo. I'm not really good at pronouncing Chinese names, but there is war in China because they still have a whole warlord era going on. The Sikkimese Gandhi, oh wow. Jarman Lepcha. Lepcha is a well-known reformer and proponent of peaceful resistance, waging a non-violent war of protest against the Kazis and other corrupt and oppressive nobles, organizing sit-ins, boycotts, prayer vigils, group fastings, marches, and more to resist the aristocratic parasites. He views them as parasites. German is the voice and the face of a free republican future for Sikkim. However, his detractors and opponents do not share his dedication to non-violence, and much blood has been spilled on the side of German and his allies. Despite it all, German persists, holding faith that Chogyal Tashi will see his dedication and follow through on his promise of sweeping reform. For if he did not, all hope for a peaceful resolution will be lost in the eyes of German. Let him complain. It's not like he will do anything. And from that event, we saw an increase in the radical socialist ideology he leads, which, let's see here. It looks like Jarman Lepcha, he leads most of the leftist, more the syndicalist, socialist, and radical socialist, syndicalist, and totalist parties of the country. There was a putsch somewhere, and that was in White Ruthenia, the death of Pius XI. That has happened. And yeah, there was a putsch, like a coup in Belarus here. That has happened, and now they're national populists. They're still part of the Reichspakt, though. And checking back in over here, Afghanistan they're doing somewhat well against the Dominion of Delhi somehow. This is, okay, wait, I gotta read an event again. The aristocracy. Sikkim may be led by the Chogyal, but its society and its people are dominated by the aristocracy. All across our mountain paradises, various influential, wealthy, and domineering noble families and interest groups dominate the peasantry, from forcing them to work the fields as serfs to even subjecting them to carry each noble around in a personalized palanquin. The nobility has held the Sikkimese peasantry under their thumb for centuries, enabling the persistence of a semi-feudalist society that has stagnated and grown archaic as the rest of the world around us dashed towards modernity. Most powerful of all noble groups are the Kazis, a group of affluent and highly influential noble contractors and princes, poised as the traditionalist anchor of Sikkim. They resist any and all pushes for liberalization and modernization in order to safeguard their positions of power, and are largely led by Kazi Lindup Durji of the Kaiserredux family. Young but fiercely dedicated to Sikkimese tradition, Lindup leads the Kazis and other noble groups to stand as Chogyal Tashi's largest obstacle to reform. And from this event, we get 25 political power. Now let's do the focus. All under the Chogyal, which is, I think it means king, I believe it does, or Dharma king, not sure. And let's read this focus here. Socialist victory in Russia. Wow. The kingdom of Sikkim has endured under the first and only Namgyal dynasty since 1642, standing resolute as an absolutist monarchy. A new pope got elected. Standing resolute as an absolutist monarchy, safeguarding Sikkimese society and tradition. Despite Tashi's reformist goals, he still is the final authority in all matters, and all within our mountaintop paradise. Oh my goodness, so many events. Just calm down, world. Just stop giving me world news. He is the final authority in all matters, and all within our mountaintop paradise is under his gaze and is within his grasp. Sikkim is the Chogyal, and the Chogyal is Sikkim. And okay then, so socialist victory in Russia. So there is a socialist republic of Russia now, and Poland fell to socialism apparently. I mean, not to socialism, but fell to nationalism. And meanwhile, Belarus had a national populist coup. Oh no, there's gonna be a civil war in Russia, isn't there? The second volunteer army just popped up. Yeah, that doesn't seem too hopeful for there to be peace in the Russian Socialist Republic. I can see all those demilitarized regions. It's usually an ominous sign in mods, typically Hearts of Iron 4 mods, when you see demilitarized regions pop up in a country from out of nowhere. And there we go, Russia plunges in the Civil War, I called it. And after a devastating defeat in Weltkrieg and years of turmoil and a crisis, Russia has once again plunged into anarchy and the chaos of a new civil war. Russian volunteer army is fighting a lot of different countries. You have the Russian Socialist Republic. You have the Second Volunteer Army. There is the Russian Revolutionary Front. And then there is Provisional Republic of Siberia. The Far Eastern Republic of Transmir is just sort of watching, and Kochek is probably laughing at Russia. Just, yeah. Chogyal, the Chogyal. The Chogyal, or king of Sikkim, has been in position for over 300 years, and has only been held by pure-blooded members of the Nangyal dynasty. Currently, the reformist-minded 11th Chogyal commands the nation, seeking to drive Sikkim toward modernity without losing sight of its storied past. Crowned by the Dalai Lama in 1914 after the death of his half-brother, His Highness Sripanch Mahaja Tashi Namgyal, Maharaja Chogyal of Sikkim, is the undisputed sovereign of the Kingdom of Sikkim. Born in Tibet in 1893, Tashi is only the most recent ruler in a dynastic line that has lasted since 1642, but his rule is quite unique. Nominally an absolute monarch, Tashi has infamously begun a crusade to reform and liberalize Sikkimese society, but this has come into conflict with the desires of the conservative nobility. Though he receives tacit support from the more radical elements led by Dreman Lapcha and his SKM, many fear that the king may not be able to go far enough to truly modernize the archaic state of Sikkim. With instability mounting, and with nobility and the peasantry more rowdy than ever, the 11th Chogyal, Tashi Namgyal, walks a razor's edge here at the top of the world as he seeks to bring prosperity to this paradise amid the mountains. And back to the Russian Civil War real quick, there is the Russian Socialist Republic, the Second Volunteer Army, the Russian Revolutionary Front, yes, Provisional Republic of Siberia, who exists, and also the Far Eastern Republic of Transmir, who's not involved at all, for now. We'll see what happens. No national focus set. Let's do Tashi's Ambition. It's the only focus we can really do. Research slot available. Do Concentrated Industry 1 or no. Let's do Electronic Mechanical Engineering for research speed buff. That's going to be done. Let's read Tashi's Ambition. Tashi has reigned as a Chogyal since the death of his half-brother in 1914, and his rule has been marked by an unheard-of push for reformation. However, now growing into a more aged and veteran leader, and with various aristocratic families, the clergy, and the masses relatively in order, it is time for Tashi to try his luck at a push toward his final goal, the modernization and democratization of the Kingdom of Sikkim and its economy through widespread land reform, and the creation of a fair and populist parliamentary monarchy. However, with the rising popularity of the radically liberal Sikkim Krakari Morcha slowly growing more and more tired of the exploitation rode at the hands of aristocracy underneath, but unshackled by the king, the continuation of this centuries-old monarchy is far from assured. And what's happening in Siberia now? Oh yeah, Transmir is involved. They are fighting the Provisional Republic of Siberia. And there is a good chance... Oh, I didn't notice this country here too. They exist. Here's this. The Western Russian Army. I wonder if they have a focus tree. I don't think they do. I don't really expect them to win. Does the Russian Revolutionary Front have a focus tree? They do not either. Second Volunteer Army. I mean, Democratic Coalition in Algiers. Malta joins Third International. I'm going to assume whoever wins the Russian Civil War will just morph into Russia. Coup d'etat in Siam. The fall of the Kingdom of Finland, that has occurred. It's fallen to the kingdom has lost power to the Lapua movement. Well, they're national populist. And I'm really thinking Transmir is going to just eventually make their way through Siberia. And once they do that, they're going to march on the Russian Socialist Republic, who's busy fighting on 3 fronts. They're not doing a very good job dealing with the Russian Revolutionary Army or the Second Volunteer Army. Not at all. And how is Afghanistan faring? They're still sort of beating back the Entente with the Dominion of Delhi and its allies. Yeah, they're doing okay, I guess. Modify Officer Corps. Spirit of the Academy. Bold Attack. Construction 1 is finished. Let's go for Concentrated Industry 1 now. And the death of T.J. Masaryk, that's in Bohemia. Modify Officer Corps again. Do Army Focus Offense. Tashi's Gambit for the Reformation of Sikkim. Chogyal Tashi has long desired to reform Sikkimese society in a major way, pushing for sweeping reforms to the educational systems, the healthcare system, the judiciary, the nobility, the economy, and more. virtually rebuilding all of Sikkimese society from the ground up. These reforms would slowly see Sikkim transformed into a mixed economy populist monarchy supported by a modernized, primarily agrarian industry, greatly expanded social and civil rights, and most groundbreaking of all, the end of the neo-feudal system dominated by the nobility through sweeping land reform and the creation of a true democratically elected Sikkimese parliament, modeled on the Indian Congress as well as from both the British and German systems. Tashi seeks to create a syncretic ideology form fit for Sikkim's unique reality, with the well-being of the masses as the key concern, earning him the nickname the People's Chogyal. However, this reformation has one large and near immovable obstacle: the nobility, traditionalist, conservative, and resistant to change in most forms. These influential and affluent aristocrats may be subservient to the crown, but there is no secret they truly run Sikkim. If Tashi is able to push his aside reforms, he will have to break with most of them, losing him much support that would hopefully be replaced by the democratic and supportive voices of the masses, or he will be forced to heavily compromise his vision. Supporting Tashi, at least for now, is Jaman Lepcha and his band of radical liberal reformers in the Sikkim Krankari Mocha, a band of peaceful, reform-minded protesters pushing for the democratization and liberalization of Sikkimese society. However, though they are peaceful now, Jaman has sworn that should Tashi break his promises for effective reform, he and his growing band of followers will have no other choice than to take matters into their own hands. With all this in mind, and with 2 decades of ruling experience, preparation already behind them, it is finally time for the 11 Chogyal to decide the ultimate future of his paradisical kingdom. And I just want to say, I read all that. The only thing that I read this, and the only thing I'm paying attention on is the anime girl in this event picture. I guess it's an anime girl. I don't know. But anyway, let's go with I am Chogyal. What I say goes. The final reforms shall be begun. And Tashi's triumph has happened. Let's go to the national focuses now. We're now going down the king's path, so to speak. I mean, I had to. His glasses, he just looks so stylish. And let's do grant rights to peasantry. We'll get rid of the archaic and feudalist reality and switch it out with prosperous economy. And we'll add 1 civilian factory to Sikkim because we did that focus. Seeking to raise peasantry from feudalist serfdom and into modern and protected laborers and workers in both an agrarian and albeit small industrial setting, Tashi has begun to set forth a series of decrees granting sweeping rights and protections to the masses. Under their People's Chogyal, the workers of Sikkim shall finally be free to make a fair and honest living without the demeaning specter of subservient serfdom. And that focus will be done in about 37 days. And let's look back on the Russian Civil War. It looks like the Western Russian army is going to be gone soon. Meanwhile, the Russian Revolutionary Front is making pretty good progress. It looks like the 2nd Volunteer Army is stuck, yet a Western Russian army was defeated by the Socialists. The Vienna Summer Olympics have taken place. And Transamur and Siberia, there seems to be a deadlock in their war. The forces of Kolchak are not really making much progress, honestly. I mean, they are, but it looks to be quite slow at this point. And the Russian Revolutionary Front is getting pretty close to Moscow. I will say that. The 2nd Volunteer Army is busy fighting the Russian Revolutionary Front, so you have the Russian generals, I guess, Vladimir Kornilov fighting Boris Safankov, East Asia, Germany East Asia declared war on the Indo-Chinese Union. That is occurring in Southeast Asia. Indochina declares independence. Alright then, what is Tibet doing? I don't know what they're doing, but their flag looks pretty interesting. That's all I can say. And grant rights to peasantry will be done hopefully soon. Once we get done with all this stuff here, well, I mean, we got to get all the way to the dawn of the parliamentarian dream. We're going to eventually end up doing this stuff here. Actually, hold on. Electromechanical engineering, we got to wait for that. Oh my goodness, I want to do foreign policy stuff, but we're going to be a long way off from that, I think. And let's do mechanical computing now, get that done, because it would be useful to just get it done early. Grant rights, peasantry will be completed. What do we need for this? Oh my goodness. Let's do the dire need for land reforms. Grant rights to peasantry is done. The dire need for land reforms. Sikkim's economy is dominated by a feudal system in which the lords and powerful families administer plots of land worked by a vast peasantry who cannot afford or are not allowed to own land. What is the Rant Rebellion? Whatever. Tashi has worked tirelessly with the nobility in order to reach some form of agreeable compromise, and has begun to transition some of Sikkim's land into the hand of the masses. Small landowners have begun to rise up from the most hard-working, the most savvy, and the most influential of the lower classes. Though it is a far cry from a total break of feudalism, it is a massive step in a modern direction for such a tiny nation, and their change will be monitored closely as the masses of Sikkim step from 1666 into 1936. And from this focus, we'll get, dominance of the nobility will be replaced with royal land reforms, and Sikkim will also get 2 building slots. And what is the Rant Rebellion? I did not read that event. All I know is that the South African People's Union is fighting against the Entente now. That is occurring. Not sure what the deal is there, but that's happening. That is a thing. And I wonder if that will affect the Fourth Anglo-Afghan War. It could. Not entirely sure, though. And checking in on the Russian Civil War again. Deutsche East Asia, German East Asia, Mustafa Kemal got shot. German East Asia and the Indo-Chinese Union signed a peace deal. It looks like the Indo-Chinese Union will achieve their independence, judging by the fact they still exist as a country. And what's going on here? Xinjiang clique is fighting against the Kumal Khanate. That is occurring. The Indo-Chinese revolt succeeds, go figures. And Transamers making some more progress in Siberia. I really do think once they pierce through Tomsk, Barnaul, and Surgut, and northwest Siberia, Transamer, Kolchak, and his soldiers from there will face the Russian Socialist Republic as well as any other factions in the Russian Civil War. An old monument made new, seeking to restore more aspects of both his own family's legacy and the history of the kingdom, while also proving to the conservative nobility that he is still dedicated to tradition despite his reforms. Tashi Namgyel has utilized more of his personal funds to restore historic and spiritual sites across the nation, from various monasteries and burial sites to stupas and palaces. Most recent of his grand restorations was the total facelift of the Nubargang Chorten, the stupa created by the first Chogyal Bansog Namgyel in 1642. I don't know what a stupa is. I think it's like a Buddhist temple, maybe? I'm not sure. Anyway, after he Chogyal Phutsong Namgyel in 1642, after his coronation by the 3 highest lamas in Sikkim at Yaksum. The sacred and serene Kutak Lake is also nearby and is of great significance to the monarchy and to local Buddhists, and has become a common pilgrimage site as well thanks to Tashi's renovations and funding. Sites like these and many others will continue to be renovated as the 11th Chogyal seeks to hold on to our storied past as he progresses to the future. We honor the first Chogyal and the legacy he enabled. Now in the focus tree, let's do Patron of the Arts. That will take around 49 days. It says the Pilot Prince. Okay, so what's this about? What is this about? The Crown Prince, Paja Namgyel, also called Kanzeng Chole Namgyel, is the eldest son and heir apparent to Tashi Namgyel, along with his brother, Paiden. A lot of reading, I will say that, so sorry if my voice gets a little tired from reading everything. Along with his brother, Paiden Thondup, as he stands by his father's side, loyally as an honored friend and respected aide as well as a son, seeking to bring further honor to his family while fulfilling a lifelong dream of flight. The Crown Prince attended an Anglo military school in Delhi in order to train to become a fighter pilot, graduating with top honors and with hundreds of flight hours logged. Crown Prince Pajir is the greatest pilot to ever fly for Sikkim and has since returned to Gangtok to serve as the new chief of the Sikkimese Air Force, tied to the functions of the Sikkim Guard. With Pajor defending our skies above as his father sits on the throne and guides the nation, the people of Sikkim can be sure that the Namgyels will keep them safe. And we'll get Paljor Namgyel as a general now, so that has happened. And Patron of the Arts will be done hopefully relatively soon. I am so looking forward to foreign policy, personally. Sikkim on the world stage, I guess. And I think Sikkim's foreign policy, you can be isolationist or go for uniting all of India. I think you can at least form the Kingdom of the Himalayas, which may involve going to war with Nepal. Not entirely sure about that. Syndicalism spreads to Burma. Alright, they may be an ally of the Bhattacharya Commune in the future. Time will tell, though, if that is true or not. Yes, they join the Eastern Syndicalist Union, which is the faction led by, you guessed it, well as expected anyway, the Bhattacharya Commune. So that's two nations in that faction now. The Burmese joining forces with the big commune of the Indian subcontinent could be a problem for us in case we go to war with the Bhattacharya Commune and there was someone who seized power. Deadlock in America. Second American Civil War may take place in the near future. Wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, someone seized power in Turkey, I guess, with the Ottoman Empire. And what is going on with Afghanistan? Kabul is still, they're holding out pretty well, I would think, considering what they're up against. That is, I'd say they're performing better than expected. How's the Russian Civil War doing? The Russian Revolutionary Front is being pushed back more. They don't seem as close to Moscow as they once were, although they are advancing harder in the reserve, or not, they just got pushed back. They lost a city, which is bad for them. I think they're being eaten by the 2nd Volunteer Army. That is the problem for the Russian Revolutionary Front. The Guangdong clique declared war on the Guangxi military government. How is Transamur doing? They gotta get to the capital of Siberia, don't they? Yeah, it looks like they gotta get there. But I'm really expecting at this point the Russian Liberation Army will probably die, and then it will just be the 2nd Volunteer Army versus the Russian Socialist Republic, at least until Transamur gets through Siberia, if they ever do get there. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if if Transamur gets they arrive too late, then they have to fight the full might of the Russian Socialist Republic. And will the Russian Revolutionary Front lose their capital yet? Oh, they did push back some enemy forces here, judging by the change of territorial control in one of the provinces. There's a victory there for the 2nd Russian Army? The 2nd Volunteer Army. And Patron of the Arts is done. Now let's do what? Expand the Tashi Namgyel Academy. Founded in 1926 and named after himself, the TNA is the premier institute of higher education in Sikkim, or at least it could be if it wasn't dwarfed by the remaining colonial institutions left by the Anglos and only open to the upper class. To rectify the situation, Tashi has decided to open the doors of the institution for all Sikkimese students that can pass its entrance exam, while simultaneously funding generous scholarships and a massive expansion of the campus. This is all poised to make the Tashi Namgyel Academy the greatest university in Sikkim, and perhaps the greatest university in all of the Himalayas. That's quite grandiose, I will say. And Afghanistan is advancing. It looks like they encircled some troops belonging to the Dominion of Delhi. What happened here? The Colossus of Sikkim, Burmik, Antang Tashi Dugdoi Densapa is the loyal and ever-vigilant right-hand man of Chogyal Tashi. Formerly, he is Nyat Sang Kinmo, or the chief steward of the palace, but in practice he is the closest political ally and lifelong friend of the beloved king, born in 1902 as the son of a former chief steward. Atinga, as he is traditionally called, received formal education at both colonial Anglo and Tibetan schools before rising to his first government position, and from there he befriended Tashi and climbed the ranks of the Sikkimese hierarchy until he was the chief confidant and advisor to the 11th Chogyal, standing by his king through his push for reforms and the rise of radicalism and the influence of the Kazis, the Grand Man of Sikkim. Atinga aids Tashi loyally and devoutly in this mountainous paradise, safeguarding traditional Sikkimese society and religion against corrosive forces. Well, that's what this event describes as corrosive forces, while aiding his friend and liege, truly one of the great among us. And from that was all about this guy here, who is leading the army of Sikkim, which is basically just a royal guard and no one else. I just realized we have high organization, but we have no, what is it, no, goodness gracious, American Civil War notifications, go away. No, we have no manpower. We have no manpower here to even fill up this one division. That is bad. We need to conserve enough political power to go to limited conscription, don't we? I won't be surprised if we have to scrape the barrel for manpower in order to win wars. I mean, we have, what is this now? 100K population, 114,000, well, approximately 115,000 in population in the only state we control. So we're never going to be able to build a huge army unless something works out for us. And modify officer corps. What's this about here? Let's hold on to any political power we can get. We need to just save it up. Just save it, don't spend it. And it seems that Afghanistan is pushing hard into the Dominion of Delhi's territory now. That's not looking good for the Dominion of Delhi, but it is what is happening. How are we doing here? Expand the Hashinam Academy will be done soon. After that, we'll create the Nationalized State Transport Service. Panama joins the Entente. I mean, it happened because of the Panama Canal crisis. We just finished that there. I think it was Concentrated Industry 1, I believe, maybe. It is January 1937, and we're still doing 1936 era tech. But I mean, that's not surprising since we have only 2 research slots. And I saw a war notification about Tibet. Yeah, they're fighting the Mach League. How many divisions? They have 9 to 26. Tibet has 4 to 14. Wow. I mean, they don't have a very large front to fight on, so we'll see what happens there. Also, I think the Mach League... Okay, now it's not going to matter too much. Tibet is now fighting on 2 fronts. Mach League is fighting... Also, they're taking on the Russo-Mongolian All-Military Union. I did not realize this was a path, the Russo-Mongolian All-Military Union. Very interesting to see. But yeah, the Citron Clique and the Mach Clique are up against Tibet. And while the Mach Clique is going to be busy, the Citron Clique is not. Did we finish our research? Good. Our focus is done there. Now let's create the Nationalized Transport Service, the Nationalized State Transport Service, and that will give us a national spirit that will help with resource gain efficiency and infrastructure construction speed, and add 2 infrastructure to Sikkim. Now in the research tree, let's do support weapons 1, or no. Let's do radio. I may need radio more. At least we have 1 more research slot now. 3 is better than 2. I will say that. And Afghanistan is still pushing into the Dominion of Delhi. It is going badly for the Entente-aligned country in the Indian subcontinent, I think. And how is the... Okay, so checking in on the Russian Civil War again. As expected, the Second Volunteer Army is just eating the Russian Revolutionary Front from the rear as the Socialist Republic tries to hit both of these countries on the front. Serbia crowns King Alexander II. We can see Transamur, they're still moving more into Siberia, although they're not very fast about it. They'll gradually win that war probably, or just take them some time. How many divisions does the Citron Clique have? 2 to 16, so actually Tibet may be able to keep a stalemate, well, a deadlock in place, because I don't think the Mach Clique has bigger problems right now with the Russo-Mongolian All-Military Union. And the Citron Clique, even though they're only fighting Tibet, they just don't have that many divisions. So, yeah. And create the Nationalized State Transport Service will be done in 27 days in order to facilitate Okay, helping people make infrastructure better. That's that. Focus red then, I guess. Abridged version of the focus description. And it seems that Afghanistan is now losing some momentum. Their front, Nicaragua declared war on Honduras. That has happened. But it looks like now Afghanistan is losing some momentum, as I just said, which is not good for them because the Entente forces seem to be in Kandahar. And possibly Afghan forces, the Afghan army may have overextended their lines. Time will tell if that happens or not. But to be fair, they're right outside the capital of their enemy. So they are right there. If they can just take the capital, that could be a huge blow. The Mysore state declared war on the Princely Federation. The Mysore state is, I think it's like a revolt, because it just popped up. The Mysore state is social conservative, meanwhile the Princely Federation is paternal autocrat. And at this time, who is this? The Travancore state is fighting against the Princely Federation. That has happened. Not sure if the Princely Federation will win, but they're dealing with that now. And Delhi has fallen. Wow. So there is a possibility Afghanistan could win this war against the Entente, despite the disadvantage against them. Although they do have some pretty good national spirits, I think. Just looking at some of these. Well, actually, yeah, like the Deutsche Luft expedition in Afghanistan, that's pretty good. We are at war. The Niedermayer Hinti expedition is also good. Panama declared war on Costa Rica. Create the nationalized state transport services done. Now let's do the benevolent Maharaja of Sikkim. The Maharaja and Chogyal Tashi Namgyel has embarked on a campaign to mend the ethnic and religious divides that have plagued our nation for centuries, issues only inflamed by the British and Indian occupations. Creating programs and leading public dialogue on a path towards reconciliation, the great People's King of Sikkim shall mend the schisms that have divided our paradise. All under the Chogyal shall be whole, and all under the Maharaja shall be at peace, for that is the will of Tashi Namgyel. I get his name. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I may not be doing that. And in Princely Federation, it looks like, I don't know. I think the Princely Federation could. I don't know. They just got to hold a few provinces down. Yeah, the Mysore state is gone. They were annexed. Now I believe the Tranavacor, they're going to be defeated probably. Modify government. Go to conscription law. Flip this to limited conscription so we can at least get enough manpower in our singular division. That would be helpful. And it seems that Afghanistan is, I don't know, it could go either way. There looks like to be some encircled dominion of Delhi troops in Afghanistan behind Afghanistan's lines, but maybe I'm wrong. There's only so much I can see with the fog of war on. Well, with the fog of war, that is a thing. Let's get support weapons 1 researched, because we can do that now since we've done the majority. What am I doing? Don't even do this, actually. Do this. We got to get up-to-date technology for our industry. The industry sector needs to be the best it can be. And the Russian Civil War is continuing. Oh, looks like Transamir is about to win in their conflict against Siberia. So the Russian Socialist Republic is about to have probably someone who is going to march on. Well, they're going to be on the. How to say? Kolchak will be on the doorstep of the Russian Socialist Republic. It will be his move now. And the. Okay, so I don't know how the Revolutionary Front is still holding out, but they are. They just got to hold their capital, I guess. And Afghanistan is still winning, losing. I mean, they are technically probably winning. They took the enemy's capital, for crying out loud. So, I mean, yeah, they are winning technically, but it looks like their progress could be undone if the Dominion of Delhi and their allies are able to pierce into Afghanistan and hit Kabul from their positions in Kandahar. If they can make enough moves there. And now the benevolent Maharaja of Sikkim focus is about to be done. After that, we'll do fund Sir Dutton Namgyel Memorial Hospital, and it's named after the father of this hospital is named after the father of the king, the father of Tashi Namgyel. Whatever. The Chilean-Argentinian War has happened. That's going on in South America. What is this about? Romu Lepcha's botanical genius. Romu Lepcha, famed Sikkimese botanist, naturalist, and academic, has led a new botanical survey deep into the heart of the Sikkimese Himalayas in order to find new plant species for both ecological and medicinal study. Along with her is a small international group of botanists led by the German-American expert on plant anatomy, Catherine Hessel, and the Japanese botanist and ethnologist, Minakata Kumagusu, who specializes in fungal analysis while also having an interest in the local isolated minority groups within the mountain ranges of Sikkim. Together with other naturalists, this group seeks to further tap into the unknown and reveal more of the wonders our mountain paradise holds. And from that event, we get 50 political power. Because, I don't know, that helps us though. And I really do think Afghanistan is going to win this war against the Dominion of Delhi. They are struggling here. They're going to lose. They still have one port left. If they lose Karachi, it's over. And it looks like syndicalist revolutionaries in... syndicalist revolutionaries in Switzerland and the Far Eastern Republic of Transamur. It seems that they joined the Japanese Co-Prosperity Spear. The Guangzhou federal government is proclaimed. That has happened. And I don't know what Chogyal is going to do now that he is standing right outside the Russian Socialist Republic, basically. I'm just waiting for the war to happen. Totalist Nabathara Commune. Okay, that's a little concerning. If they go to war with us, that would be very, very bad. That would be very, very bad. Modified government. Canada invokes the War Measures Act. Let's do early mobilization. No, don't do that. Just do extensive conscription. We need manpower. Just alter the conscription law with the political power we have. Now we can pick a land doctrine. Let's go with the mass assault doctrine. We don't have enough factories to do anything else. Grand battle plan is defensive. Mobile warfare as well. You need industry for tanks. Superior firepower is also, you need industry for that. We do not have the material we don't have material to really focus on anything besides mass assault as Sikkim, I would think. Sweden joined the Reichspakt. The Spanish Civil War is underway, and that has occurred. Yeah, the Dominion of Delhi is going to really have to defend Karachi there. Karachi, yeah. Turkestan Khanate has declared war on Alash Orda, and whoever's going to win this conflict will be the ruler of Central Asia, essentially. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. A peace deal was signed between some countries in South America. It looks like the 2nd Volunteer Army is going to be crushed. They might actually lose before the Russian Revolutionary Front. Maybe they just extended their lines out too far. They got too greedy pushing into the Russian Revolutionary Front. The fall of Madrid has occurred. Transamur is going to be really bad off if they just let the Russian Socialist Republic finish before they can intervene. If they don't intervene now, it's going to be a lost opportunity for them. And there's tons of war going on in China and in Asia in general. Tibet, how's Tibet doing? They are losing some ground, but they're also just holding in. I mean, they're holding out for now. At least the Russo-Military Union, the Russo-Mongolian All-Military Union is applying some pressure to the Mongolic, but I don't know if it's enough to keep Tibet alive. Select a technology to research. Do support weapons 1 now. Wait, no, I can't even do that, can't I? Go to 1937 class tech. Concentrated industry 2, get that done. Select national focus. The dawn of the parliamentarian dream. And this says here, with the bulk of his initially planned reforms now in effect, Tashi Namgyel, the 11th Chogyal of the Kingdom of Sikkim, has finally decided to go through with his final dream for our paradise to allow free and fair democratic elections. Though Tashi shall still reign as king, a civilian government composed of both nobility and the common man shall be created under the crown, aiding his majesty in the rigors of statecraft. All parties are allowed to run in the elections. Whoever wins shall rise to Tashi as his loyal but subservient advisors and allies. Enlightened parliamentary monarchism shall finally blossom in the mountain paradise of Sikkim under the beloved Tashi Namgyel. Once this focus is done, I think we'll have the elections. Well, I'm guessing that will happen here, judging by these focuses to our left. And once that occurs, the country will be deemed secured enough that we can start doing things relating to foreign policy, which has all the wars and stuff you love in Hearts of Iron 4, typically. Well, the typical Hoi 4 player loves. Wars. Lots and lots of wars. And I'm very interested to see how that will turn out, because we have 1 division. And how's Afghanistan doing here? They're just beating the Dominion of Delhi so badly in this 4th Anglo-Afghan war. It is going badly for them. I mean, for the Entente, really. They're going to be deprived of an ally, or at least a weakened ally, I would think. How many divisions does Afghanistan have? Let's see here. 7 to 34. And the Dominion of Delhi has 11 to 29. So they could possibly, somewhere in the middle there, I think it would be slightly outnumbered. Maybe. We gotta modify our government. Let's go with early mobilization. Do that. And why did I even do that? That might have been a waste of time. I don't know why I bothered. We don't really have much of an economy to really mobilize. Yeah, I mean, we have 2 factories, which is better than nothing. Let's just build a military factory here, I guess. That works. The Western Command Center has capitulated. They lost their war, and it looks like, yeah, that's bad for them. The Mozambique Bush War is taking place. That's between Deutsche Middle Africa, essentially the ruling German colonial authority over Africa, and that's between them and the Portuguese. And it looks like the Kingdom of Hawaii joined the Co-Prosperity Sphere. And the Co-Prosperity Sphere is getting pretty powerful. I mean, they got Hawaii just now, and before they got Transamur, which is just one step away from taking Russia, frankly. How is the Socialist Republic? Okay, they're clearly gonna win the Russian Civil War. They're crushing all the opposition. The Second Volunteer Army and the Russian Revolutionary Front don't even share a border anymore. That's how brutal. That's how bad it is for them right now compared to the Russian Socialist Republic. How's this focus going also? The dawn of the parliamentarian dream. It will be done in about 10 days. I am looking forward to elections. Looking back to the Anglo-Afghan War, there are some encircled troops in Quetta, and Kandahar. There's just some encircled Entente, what I assume to be Entente Delhi troops in one area. And the Dominion of Delhi is split in half. The Awadh is still holding out, and so is some states over here. And the other half is in Sindh and Balochistan, but it looks like Balochistan may eventually fall to Afghanistan. And once Afghanistan emerges from the war, if they have a victory, they're going to be pretty powerful. And let's go to industry here. Don't worry about industry for once. Let's just do support weapons 1, get that done. We started making progress on that earlier, but we stopped. And the first Sikkimese elections have occurred. Oh boy, election time. Finalizing his sweeping reforms with the pinnacle of his planned liberalizations, Chogyal Tashi has begun to usher in true parliamentary democracy to our paradisical kingdom of Sikkim. Though the king shall still be the absolute and final voice in any and all matters, this democratically elected civilian government will support Tashi as he seeks to further transform Sikkimese society. The main parties are less parties and more just groupings of interest groups within the royal court and among the peasantry, a sort of proto-multi-party democracy that will shortly come to become more organized and distinct over time. Safeguarding tradition and resisting most reforms are nobility who cling to the status quo. Slightly less of an obstacle to full reform are the various princes and monarchist loyalists sworn to Tashi who desire some token reforms to preserve stability without any real changes to the status quo. Opposing these noble-centric groups are the varied reformist factions, which range from small landowners and merchants, our meager but growing middle class who push for liberal and modernist capitalist reforms modeled on Keynesian principles and Western liberal-minded monarchists and the radical socialist-inspired forces of German Lapcha's SKM and the Sikkim Progressive Alliance. Whichever faction wins out, the Tashi shall still remain as the sole face of Sikkim, but whoever is chosen shall work with our Chogyal to guide Sikkim into its new and democratized future. With the votes being counted by Tashi and his aides themselves, the results are soon to be announced. The winner shall be, the traditionalist nobility. The traditionalist nobility will secure the status quo, and that means the king is not really going to change. Yeah. So now in a focus tree, we're now secure. Our rule is now secure. The country is now secure. Let's do securing Sikkim. And due to how the election turned out, Tashi Namgyal, the Kazi Sikkim Hamro Party, won, I guess, to KSHP. I think that's what they're called. Yes, Tashi Namgyal will stay in power, and he won't be going anywhere anytime soon. Although I think for some of these parties, I don't think he really would leave power anyway. He would just be more George Vlads has been put to rest. I don't know. It's very interesting this French guy gets a super event. That's all I will say. But anyway, I don't think the king can really lose power per se. I think he just, his policies just would be different depending if a different party had won. And Helvetia Commune, Helvetic Commune has joined the Third Internationale, and that is essentially, I think, syndicalist Switzerland. Yes, it is. Interesting flag, I will say that. It's like the Swiss cross with a cog around it. And checking in on the Russian Civil War, the Second Volunteer Army is suffering, and so is the Russian Revolutionary Front. How's Kolchak doing? He's just watching it all go down. I mean, he's probably just glad he was able to take over Siberia without fighting too major of a war. And I think the war between the Dominion of Delhi and Afghanistan is over. The North Caucasian state joined the Reichspakt, but Afghanistan has morphed into the Barakzai Empire, and the Dominion of Delhi lost some territory. That is a pretty humiliating defeat for them. I believe they lost what now? They lost Kashmir, they lost West Punjab, and they lost Balochistan, or did they already have that? I don't know. They lost some territory regardless. Afghanistan's the clear victor of that war. And securing Sikkim will be done in a little bit, like 4 days or less. And once we can do that, we're going to do Sikkim on the world stage. That would be good, because we need to start focusing on expansion possibly. And let's read this event here real quick. Isolating our mountain paradise with our regime relatively stable in the wake of such great change, the time has come to look outwards, or is it? Sikkim lies nestled within one of the safest and most isolated regions on Earth, and if we so desire, we could seal ourselves away in this mountain hold as we work to build our metamorphosized state alone and in peace. However, to do so would be to deny our supposed destiny of uniting the Himalayas and its diverse people. A foolish, but, common dream for many in our clique. With our past settled and the future wide open, what shall be the destiny of Sikkim on the world stage? And nonsense, the Himalayas call to be united under our will, and this is, if you could probably guess, is the more war-oriented route you can go for this country. And let's do detente with Delhi, detente with the Dominion of Delhi, essentially. It says the remnants of our old colonial liege and overlords still cling to life in Delhi, standing as the western titan of the Indian subcontinent and still tied to Anglo ambitions. Regardless of the past, Delhi is likely our best hope for safeguarding ourselves against the socialist behemoth, and as such we must strike a deal with these British lapdogs, and this focus will be done in 35 days. And to be honest, I'm glad we're past the 35-day focuses. We're past the 49-day focuses, and I got 35-day focuses. And all these focuses here in this foreign policy tree will be all oriented around, I think, 35 days. Yeah, completion time will be 35 days for all of them. And for our military staff, let's get some people here. School of Mass Combat. Oh no, we have a military staff. We could have gone with Tashinamgo to be Chief of Staff. Oh well. We can, he can at least still be the Chief of the Army, I think. Possibly, not sure. But detente with Delhi will be done in 14 days, I think. That will be great, because we can try to form an alliance with Delhi for any upcoming wars, see if they would help us out with that. Go to what can we do now? Military Command, focuses, what can we do here? Army High Command, no, don't do that. I don't need Artillery Specialist for the Army High Command focus. Peace deal has been signed between Ecuador and Peru, I believe. Monarchy is restored in Greece. And it looks like checking in on the Russian Civil War probably one more time. It's over for the Second Volunteer Army. The Russian Revolutionary Front is gone, but at least once that's over, we can just stare at the Russian Civil War and the chaos in China all day. And speaking of which, Tibet is losing ground. Detente with Delhi is done. They lost a province or two, I think they took. Let's do talk with the Tibetans. What's this here? No divisions and basic training. Do we even have manpower now? I guess we do. Can we deploy? How much manpower do we need for this? Just train little guards. Do that. Train little guards. Nothing else. Do we even have a gun factory? I think we do. Oh, we have no military gun factories. Never mind then. The fall of Detroit. The Second American Civil War is going on. So how is that handling now? It does not look good for the Combined Syndicates of America. The CSA is not faring well at all. But the CAR, the Constitutional American Republic, is making a lot of progress, it looks like. the American Union state is being sandwiched, and the Federalists are making progress into territory of the CSA, but not much with the CAR. Modify government. Let's up our conscription law once more, or no, we can't do it right now. Let's do Chief of Army. Let's see here. What is this? Let's do, what can we do? Decisive battle doctrine here to get Padra Namgyel, who is the son of Tashi Namgyel, the current king of the country. Do we have any more political power for now? We can't use it for anything. We have political power, but it's not enough to do much with. And talk with the Tibetans. They'll get an event. We'll call for their aid. Despite their current chaotic situation, we must once again ask Tibet for support. Our monarchy and clergy of Tibet have been linked for centuries, and it would be foolish to throw away 300 years of friendship. Together we shall safeguard the Himalayas from all foreign aggression. And that focus will be done soon enough. Which, soon enough, I mean that as in 5 days. Just looking around the world, what's going on? Civil war in Spain. Oh, I didn't realize that Serbia is fighting Illyria. They're fighting just Illyria, I think. The Cuban People's Republic declared war on someone. They declared war on the Don Republic, it seems. Unassigned divisions. We got foreign volunteers now. I guess they're from Tibet. I don't know. But we have foreign volunteers at this point. Let's do neuter Nepal. The focus called that. Ikwan declared war on Jabal Shamar. And neuter Nepal. Nepalis make up a sizable portion of our population. And though those within our borders may be under our rule, those in Nepal itself certainly are not. For centuries, Nepal has eyed our paradise, seeking to make it theirs as they continue to subvert Indian ambitions. But this shall never come to pass. We shall strike Nepal first and finally, striking down these circling vultures as we march to... Come on, get out of the way, please, events. We shall strike Nepal first and finally, striking down these circling vultures as we march to unite our mountain hold. So our long-term goal is to ultimately, I think, unite the Himalayas. And I'm going to end part 1. This is going to be a playthrough series. Like I said at the start of this video, I believe. I'm going to end part 1 for my Kingdom of Sikkim playthrough in Kaiserredux here. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can check out Kaiserredux in the video description. The link to the mod is there.